All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? We are back for a Friday edition of the NBA show. As you can tell, we got a new face here for this Friday one. As we got Matt filling in for Ham. And as you can see on the screen right now, I got the NBA Cup scenarios all laid out. We'll go through that in a little bit, but want to bring you in, Matt. How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good, man. Always nice to spend some time with the family. As you know, I'm dealing with some back issues, so I hampered it a little bit, but we're powering through. Happy to talk some Friday night hoops with you. Fun slate. Talked a little bit before, man. I love slates in any sport where all the games start at the same time, whether it's MLB, League of Legends, NBA. I love sprint slates like this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely brings some uniqueness to slates that we haven't really seen this season. I believe they did this last year too with the NBA Cup. And it's smart the way the NBA lines it up. You have all the games kind of locking in the same time because you don't really, it's not like you can rest guys when you have a lot more information if you're playing like an hour later, but all these games start at the same time. There's some really big games on the slate for sure. Talk some like slate overview stuff, like how your approach differs from these games locked at the same time versus having a late swap slate.
So for me personally, as someone who usually plays like, 1 to 3 to 5 lineups, depending on the night, it doesn't change that much just because the late swap for me is important, but it's easy to do because you're only playing with limited lineups. So presuming I play limited lineups tonight, which I probably will, there's a chance I multi-enter the 15 just because you don't have to deal with the late swap stuff. So it's a lot easier tonight. That would be the biggest difference for me personally is it gives someone like me the opportunity with, like we talked about last show, like kids and stuff where it's hard for me to sometimes do all the late swap stuff that you need to do for NBA. On a site like this, I can multi-enter. That's really the only difference for me. How about you?
I would say the approach is very similar to how it would be for a normal slate. Obviously, the late swap aspect, not having that just takes that out of the equation. So essentially, you're just getting your high confidence plays in your lineup and then just letting it ride. I think tonight there's going to be a lot of news as we get close to lock. So like that 30-minute window before the slate starts is going to be pretty hectic, I would imagine. So you got to be prepared from start to finish for this one because we got pretty big Q tags in a lot of these games. So it could really shake up the slate. I think that a lot of the stuff that we talk about tonight might not even matter in 2 hours.
Yeah, the nice part about that is that we'll know all the news for every game before the slate starts. Now, you could look at it the other way, and I know you probably do. We're like, that's not a good thing for someone who late swaps and plays 150 on a normal basis. For the casual player or someone, not necessarily casual, someone who plays limited lineups or doesn't, have the opportunity to do the late swap that they want to, it's a benefit.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what's up to some people in chat before we break down the NBA Cup stuff. What's up, Sean? Happy to see you in here, man. Wins a lot. Remo, Brandy Con, Kid Lion, I think that's you. Gangrene, Parabay, Michael's in here, Nate D, and then Derek. How you guys doing? Hope you guys all had a good Thanksgiving. So we'll break down the NBA Cup importance tonight because there's a few really, really big games. The first one is the Orlando-Detroit game. Winner is going to be the winner of that group. But I believe that even if Orlando loses, they still have a chance to come out of the wild card for the Eastern Conference. So really big game for Detroit more so. But I think that obviously Orlando would be very happy to kick the Detroit team out of the NBA Cup because they're looking pretty dangerous right now. So I think that both these teams are going to play it very tight tonight, and that's a game that looks pretty good on paper from a game environment standpoint. We don't have to worry about the Western Conference stuff because that's going to be later tonight. The Milwaukee-New York game is the next big game on the main slate, with the Knicks going to be clinching a Group C or clinching their group with a win. Milwaukee kind of needs a lot to go right. They have a small chance to advance in the wild card, but they would need to win by like 20 or 30 points. I think that the team they're trying to catch is Miami. Yeah, Miami's got a plus 49 point differential. Knicks are plus 26. And then the Knicks do own the tiebreaker over Miami. So a win here would clinch their group for them. But yeah, it's kind of a thin path for the Bucks to get out of the first round of the NBA Cup. So I don't think that much really changes there. But it looks like Giannis will be back tonight. So we'll talk about that when we get to that game. Cleveland, Atlanta, nothing for Atlanta to play for, just kind of playing for pride at this point. But Cleveland is going to need a really big win. They're not super big favorites in this one, I don't think. I think they're just 6.5 points. They would need like a plus 20-point win as well. I think that they are trying to catch Miami for that last wild card spot. So they could be a team to. I do think that they would be a squad that they do kind of play these NBA Cup games pretty straight up. So I think that they would definitely want to win in a pretty big fashion. I think that kind of covers it for the NBA Cup. So if there's two really big games and then a couple teams need a lot to go right. I kind of been kicking myself for overstating the importance of these NBA Cup games, but I feel like this is one where it really does matter. So are you thinking like leaning into those environments a little bit more so than usual?
I think it makes sense too, but I still struggle with it just because like I also think that a team like Atlanta on the other side of it, like with no pressure, not as much to play for as a team like Cleveland, you could see the reverse happen where like Atlanta plays really well in that spot and Cleveland doesn't play well. I'm not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen. I just still don't want to overemphasize it personally. That might be a mistake tonight though.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think you could get paid off in some pretty big ways. Like if you get the Orlando and Detroit stuff right, I think that we kind of know where the fantasy points are coming from, and we know that they're going to be running it up. So that's kind of one I think is pretty important for me. But there are some really, really strong game environments. A couple games have a ton of value, so you don't really want to get away from that just to get into some of these scenarios a little bit more. I think that you're kind of mix and matching some of these value plays with teams that need to win in a pretty big way is kind of how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, like I'm with you as like tiebreakers and like maybe that's like, next level stuff. But like ultimately NBA DFS is such a price and projection game that like it's hard for me to take that too much into account. And I will take stuff outside of projections into account. I'm just not sure that the NBA Cup is one of them where I'm willing to get to, at least not yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump right into it. Got the first game on not the first game, but the first one that Saber has listed. All these games start at the same time, but the Sixers taking on the Nets in a road game for the Sixers. A lot of value in this game because both teams are dealing with a lot of injuries. I'll start with the Sixers side. You got the main stuff with the Joel Embiid being listed out. Then you got VJ and Kelly Oubre both missing this game, and then Trendon Watford looks like he's going to be out for probably 1 to 2 weeks, I would imagine, with the adductor strain. So tough loss there for a team that's really thin in the front court. They will be getting Adem Bona back, and they've kind of talked a lot about dialing back Drummond's minutes just because he's been playing a ton of minutes lately. Then also you have a Q tag on Paul George. I think that he's going to miss. From what I've heard, he wasn't really doing much at shoot around or in these practices. I think that he's probably missing this game. So things could really tighten up for a team that already runs a very tight rotation. I think that there's definitely a lot to like on the Sixers side, but from a matchup perspective, it's not a great spot for guys that score a lot in the pick and roll. So I think like Maxey is kind of a guy that the usage and all the point per minute stuff is going to look really good, but from a matchup perspective, not great with the Nets being the second best pick and roll team in the league. They do give a ton of transition scoring, so that could be a spot for him to get some points up. But I think from the pick and roll perspective, it's not looking great for him. Just the usage is going to be very strong. And then on the Nets side, we have out tags on Cam Thomas still. And then Michael Porter Jr. is the big one. That's going to open up a starting spot for somebody, but it's also going to open up a lot of usage and ball handling. Who that goes to, I'm not really sure, but I'm seeing a very, very strong projection on Tyrese Martin here as a 6.3 value. It's one of the top ones on the slate. I'm not really sure how he's the guy that really benefits the most. I kind of feel like it's like Zaire, Noah Clowney, and even like Igor and Terrence Mann are going to be the guys that benefit from a role perspective more. So always talk about the Tyrese Martin stuff. Like he's never chalk that I really want to play into, especially if he's coming off the bench. Like I don't really expect much to change there. Yeah, I think there's a good amount to like in this game. Got some spend up, or you have a good spend up, and then the mid tier looks pretty solid with guys like Claxton, Grimes, and even Drummond as standout plays. How are you viewing this game?
Yeah, we view it pretty similarly, to be perfectly honest. As far as the Brooklyn side goes, like there is going to be a lot opening up with MPJ out, but I don't really see it falling on one person, and certainly I don't see it falling directly on Tyrese Martin. It doesn't mean he's a bad play at 3,600, but man, as like by far the highest owned player on the slate, I'm good there. Like if I were playing 150, I'd have some, but like I'm not looking to play him. Like even at that price tag, which is hard to find, he projects well, so I get it. But as of like right now, I don't want to play him at ownership. Things could change certainly, but that's where I stand right now. Like the rest of the guys look better, but I don't think there's any like locks on Brooklyn for me personally. Clowney would probably be my favorite. He's also getting a ton of ownership though. A guy like you said in passing at low ownership is Yegor Demon. 4,100. I think that's a really nice pivot off of the Tyrese Martin chalk. I just think his game is much more conducive for DFS. So give me him at a slight price increase, still cheap over Tyrese Martin in tournaments. From the Philly side, I think you said it best. Like they're thin, but Drummond doesn't look as good because Bona's back and price tags are up. Like Maxi's expensive. You mentioned the matchup not being like elite, but Maxi's always in play because of the usage, etc. I kind of dig Grimes as a pivot off of Maxi, much cheaper. Just game theory, if Maxi doesn't get there all the way, someone does, and I think Grimes is a good candidate to pick up a lot of that. I think they could both easily get there. Just Maxi's a lot more expensive. And then McCain, I still think is in play, even with a slight price increase. Another Tyrese Martin pivot that I just think is a much better basketball player than Martin.
Yeah, you broke it down great. I agree with everything you said there. Especially the Quentin Grimes stuff, like somebody outside of Maxi is going to have to score. Just if they're running pick and roll, the Nets always just blitz the handler with two guys on the ball, and that leaves open some of these secondary guys. So Grimes is going to be the clear guy that could get some offense going and also has some playmaking abilities. I feel like he is probably the best option on the Sixers tonight if I had to pick one guy. But yeah, I think that Maxi is for sure in play. And then if Paul George were to miss, agree with you on the Jared McCain stuff. I was super heavy on him last night. I think I'd be pretty excited about playing him again. The role was really good. I mean, he played a little bit into blowout, just kind of wasn't shooting the ball all that great, but he's getting a ton of usage and he got up to 25 minutes last game. So I think that this is a guy that they are heavily invested into from a draft picks perspective. So I think they're going to want to get him up to like 26 to 28 minute range, just kind of as he gets back into basketball shape. So he would be a guy I'm for sure looking to pivot to use as a pivot off of the Tyrese Martin chart for sure. And then, yeah, I agree with you. I think Clowney is the best option on the Nets. Like the Yegor Demon call, and I think Claxton's pretty good too. Drummond's not a great defender. I've kind of been looking to attack this team with center, so I do like the Claxton stuff.
Yeah, actually, like I mentioned Clowney because like the price and stuff and the ownership, but I'm with you. I think Claxton is my favorite. I think he's the guy with the upside, even at the highest price tag. He could pick up he's not like a usage guy, but even if he picks up a little bit, plays a little bit more, like this game, like I don't want to say it should be competitive. Doesn't mean it will be. Like Brooklyn can get blown out by anyone, certainly, but at home against a shorthanded Philly team, like I'll give Brooklyn enough credit to stay at least competitive here. And if they do, Claxton is likely to put up a good score at that price tag. I'm with you.
Yep. Don't really think Dominic Barlow is going to be needed tonight. Trent Watford is not like a guy that moves the needle in terms of opening up a ton of value. It's just kind of you're getting a little bit more playing time from Watford, but I don't think that it's enough to be in consideration.
I think the guy would be Justin Edwards, if anyone.
Yeah. But yeah, that should do it for that one. The game definitely looks pretty good there. I did have some rules I want to talk through. So if George were to miss, I don't want more than two of the Maxi, Grimes, and McCain grouping because those are all guys that are going to be kind of vying for the same stats. And then for the Nets, I'm going to be max one of Zaire Williams and Drake Powell. I think one of those guys could start. And I would be max two of anybody that is going to be getting some more ball handling. So that would be Terrence Mann, Igor Demon, Tyrese Martin, and Noah Clowney. I think that would kind of cover things, and I don't really get too much accumulative ownership on the net stuff. Next game, really big game. Looks like Giannis will be back for this one in the Garden. And got the Bucks heading into New York, taking the Knicks. Talked about up top that this is a really big game for both teams, but mainly for the Knicks because they do have a chance to win their grouping. I'm going to be very heavily invested into the Knicks tonight. I like the matchup. I don't think that the Bucks are playing that great defensively, and we've seen some of these guys have a lot of success against the Bucks already this season. Looks like Cat is going to be getting a good amount of ownership. All these guys are, but I think that I'm going to be underweight on Cat. I just think that kind of what he does can be minimized a little bit by the Bucks defensively. And with Giannis potentially back, and if he's going to be guarding him, that does bring some foul risk. So I would be underweight on Cat tonight and heavy overweight on like the Brunson, Hart, and Mikal Bridges grouping. Probably going to be playing a max 2 of those guys, but I think they're all really good for different reasons. Brunson has done very well against the Bucks in his career with the Knicks, put up 36 real points and 49 DraftKings points against them. And towards the end of October this season, Josh Hart is playing great right now, playing a ton of minutes, and he does a lot of everything. So you could get, flirting with a double or a triple-double type of performance from him. I think that's within the range of outcomes. And then Mikal Bridges had a huge game against the Bucks earlier this season as well, but he's playing a ton of minutes. I think in a game that has a ton of importance for the Knicks, we could get 40 from Bridges, could get like 36, 37 from Hart. I think Brunson could play like 37, 38, and all those guys look really good. So I like the Knicks side a lot. And I think with Giannis coming back, takes pretty much everybody out of consideration on the Bucks for me. I don't think I really want to go there for Giannis either on this slate. I would assume that he's limited somewhat from the groin injury, probably playing 30 minutes, I would have to guess. Maybe 32 is in the range of outcomes, which is enough for him to put up a big score, but I just don't really think that I need to go there. I think that there's some better spend-up options, mainly at the guard position, but I do like the Knicks stuff a lot. What are you thinking about in this game?
Yeah, I'm with you. Certainly on the Milwaukee side, nothing if Giannis plays. Like Giannis, sure, but no thanks for me. Not looking to allocate that much salary on him in this spot, coming off the groin injury. No discount there, and everyone else is priced up. On the Knicks side, I think they're all in play. My favorite is Brunson. Under 9K now, like price decrease for absolutely no reason. Ownership is fine, nothing crazy. He'd be my favorite piece for sure. But I think Hart, Bridges, I like Towns. Like I don't think he's a must play, but I'm not like looking to get away from Towns. Brunson's the one guy that like as of right now I actively want. And I'm fine with like all the other guys there.
Yeah, Brunson does look really strong tonight. I think that he's price considered, he's one of the better options at point guard. I think he's a potential core play tonight, but I do like the Knicks side a lot. All right, Cleveland and Atlanta now. This is a huge game for Cleveland. They need a big win to have any sort of chance to come out of their group or in the wild card. It's kind of tough because I could see if it's like a close game, I don't know, like I don't think that we're getting more minutes than usual, but if they're winning by like 10, 15 going into the fourth, and they know how many points that they need to win, like we could see Donovan Mitchell really chucking here. I think that he's probably the best option on the Cavs side for me. I don't really worry too much about Garland and Jared Allen returning. I think that just kind of makes the offense run a little bit more efficiently, but I think that Donovan Mitchell does have a good amount of upside here. Even in a tough matchup versus Dyson Daniels, the Hawks' rim defense has not been very good this season, and he is a very drive-heavy guard. So I think that he is a guy I do like a lot on the Cleveland side. Probably it for me. I don't know if I really need to go there. Like the Mobley stuff, he's too expensive. Garland, you could consider him because he will have a decent matchup with Donovan Mitchell being guarded by Dyson Daniels. It should leave him with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. NAW is a pretty solid defender, but not as good as Dyson Daniels is. And I think Allen is probably in play at 5.7K. Don't think that we're going to see like a huge minutes increase from him, but 28 is probably enough. The interesting thing for the Hawks is that Kristaps Porzingis was a midday downgrade throughout the day with an illness. I think that he's probably a very safe bet to miss, which would open up a little bit of value. I think Onyeka Okongwu does become into play at 6.9K, probably playing 32 minutes, a guy that is really good fantasy point per minute score, but that would make Jalen Johnson a really strong option, even at 9.8K. I think that he's in play regardless of Kristaps' availability. The Cavs are bottom 2 in DVP versus power forwards on the season, so it's actually a pretty sneaky good matchup for a guy with triple-double upside. So I like him the most. but that would open up some value. I mean, Shea would look little bit better. I think Bit Crazy might sink into the starting lineup. Actually, no, he wouldn't start, but he would play a little bit more minutes. And then Mo Gay would be the backup center now. But I think the prices are pretty fair on the Hawks stuff. I think that Jalen is the only guy I'm really prioritizing. Then I have to see what the minutes and projection looks like for everybody else. So I feel like Okongwu would be a guy I'd look to. Not the best game overall, but there is some upside in this one. How are you viewing this game?
Yeah, I'm mostly with you. I do like the Atlanta side more than the Cleveland side. You've got me a little hesitant there because of the NBA Cup, relevance for Cleveland. But, man, they're getting guys back. Like, Mobley is better with Garland, but now you have Allen back, and he's expensive. Like, not really interested in that. I think Mitchell is the guy from Cleveland just because, he's expensive. But if he's shooting well and chucks like we think he might here, he can pay off 9,600. So, I think he's the guy from Cleveland. From the Atlanta side, like Jalen Johnson looks like another guy that is a potential core play for me. I mean, he's that on almost every slate. Just look at the production when Trae Young's out, even when Trae Young's in, but it's certainly when he's out. Like Johnson is just that guy. He does everything. Good matchup. I think Atlanta could easily play spoiler in this game, so I like him a ton. And then if Porzingis is out and we see Okongwu start there, like he's a priority for me at 6,900. I mean, we've read this book before, and he's just a very, very productive player when he gets minutes. So now under 7K again. I mean, he was dropping 40 plus often, like regularly a couple weeks ago in this same spot. So Jalen Johnson and Okongwu, and then I think other guys are in play, depending on who's out, like depending on the Porzingis news.
Yeah, Okongwu is going to be pretty good. I was looking at his numbers with Kristaps out this season, averaging just over 41 DraftKings points. A lot of that is kind of weighted to him having two really big games against Utah and Phoenix. Had 62 and 48 against them. But yeah, he's a really solid player, and he's playing a ton of minutes too. If Kristaps is out, like probably playing 35, I think.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan. To your point, it is weighted by those two big games out west. I remember those, but he's been productive in other spots too. And now price tag, he's not cheap, but it's dropped a little bit since Porzingis is back. He was like, I don't know, I think at least 7,200. So a little bit of a decrease, if nothing else.
Kind of funny that he's more expensive than Kristaps when Kristaps has been starting.
Yeah, that is funny. I guess the salaries haven't fully evened out yet. So he's not as good of a play as he might have been in a week, but I still like him, and I don't think he gets much ownership.
Yeah, it can't get too high. I think people might be a little scared off about that price tag, but I definitely would not be. What's up, Coach Sav? How's it going, Ricky? Sounds like a good time over there. Is it cold over there on the East Coast now? I don't know if you're technically East Coast, but
yeah, we're technically Midwest, but we're close enough, and we're on the lake, so weather got nasty here yesterday and the day before. Ton of snow. It's cold, so yeah, it took a while to get here, but it's finally here.
Yeah. I won't mention how it's 72 degrees right now in Los Angeles and sunny, but
we lost connection for a minute. Don't worry, I didn't hear you.
All right. I think that does it for that game. Next one is the biggest one on the slate, Orlando and Detroit. I think there's definitely a lot to like about this game from a few sides. The matchup is really good for Cade. I do think that Jalen Suggs is a really good defender, but they leave him on an island a lot of the time. So we've seen teams that are very pick and roll heavy have good games against the Magic. The Magic are bottom 7 in pick and roll defense this season, and then they allow the second most points per game to opposing point guards, bottom 8 DVP, so pretty good spot there. Cade coming off of a really big game. Last time out, 42 points, 63.5 DK points. I think he's one of my favorite spends on the slate, even at the elevated price tag at 10.4K, but he's shown that he can pay it off, and I think that you get the NBA Cup matchup boost where maybe we get 2 to 3 extra minutes from him, which is huge for a guy that's a really solid per minute producer. So he's probably the only guy I'm looking to on Detroit. I think you could make the case for Duran for the same reason, but they're not really trying to push his minutes up as much with the team getting healthy. I think it's a decent price tag for Asar, so I wouldn't mind keeping him in the player pool, but a lot of the things that he does well, Orlando is pretty good at defending. So I think it's just Cade for Detroit for me. And then I have a lot of interest in Franz, Bane, and Suggs tonight. I think you want no more than 2 of those guys, but I do think that you can get some lineups with 2 of them that look pretty good. I'm going to be running their minutes closer to very full, which would be around, I would say 38 for Franz and Bane. We've seen Bane touch 40 in some of these NBA Cup games. And then I think Suggs at like 34 minutes looks like one of the better point per dollar plays in the entire slate. I don't think that any of them really have a great matchup in particular. Detroit is kind of about below average transition defense. So I guess Franz and Bane could pop off there, but both of them are kind of guys that look to score around the basket. Detroit's been one of the best rim defenses in the league. So I think that the main appeal is just getting a little bit more minutes from these guys. I think Suggs is my favorite. Then I have Bane and Franz as 2 and 3, but mainly it's just a pricing thing. But yeah, I do like this game a lot. How do you feel about this one?
I think you like it slightly more than me, but yeah, a lot of NBA Cup implications here. If you're giving these guys a couple more minutes, then makes them look a lot better. The thing that intrigues me about Cade is like he projects fine at 10-4, and he's getting modest ownership, nothing crazy. But I mean, he's got slate breaking upside, and there aren't that many guys on this slate with that. We talked about one in Jalen Johnson, but no Jokic. Giannis has it, but he's expensive and potentially limited coming off injury. So, Cade has the potential to be the highest scorer on the slate, and he's not going to get a ton of ownership. That intrigues me. I think you're kind of just spot on all around in this entire game. From the Orlando side, I'm with you. I just order them different. I think Suggs is my favorite. I just really like him, especially in big games like this. He's playing really, really well. Was absolutely smashing last time out against the Sixers before he got ejected. I like Franz just because like the small forward position stinks. So, if all things were equal, maybe I would have him last, but I think I actually have Bane last where you have him first. But to your point, it's all really close. And I think they're all really good plays, especially if you're giving them a couple more minutes each.
I had Suggs, Bane, then Franz.
Oh, okay, cool. So we both have Suggs first. I thought you had Bane first and Suggs last for some reason.
No, it's vice versa. Well, I have Bane ahead of Franz, but mainly just the pricing thing. But like you said, I mean, small forward is pretty bad tonight, so he makes a lot of sense just filling in a weak position. Like a 45-point game from him is going to be, I think that goes a long way on the slate. I think he'll be on Bane. I think they might put Tobias on Franz. But it I think it's going to be one of Franz or Bane that sees a SAR. I think Franz makes the most sense, though. I'm not sure. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Not really. Just because their rotation's a little bit murky with guys being out for so long, like haven't really seen enough of it, so I'm not positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really know. I think I'm not really going to be looking into that too much because Asar can only play so many minutes, whereas they're probably going to see a handful of minutes without him on the court, so it doesn't really matter too much for me. All right, I think that does it for this game. I guess I should shout out Anthony Black. He's been playing really well. I don't think you need to go there in this slate. There's a lot of pretty good value.
He got bumped a ton with Suggs getting thrown out last game too.
Yeah. All right, this game, I think this is the highest total on the slate. Bulls and Hornets. A lot of injury stuff on the Bulls side with questionable tags on Nikola Vucevic, Kevin Huerter, and Patrick Williams. We have doubtful tags on Isaac Okoro and Dalen Terry, so it doesn't really change too much. But obviously the Vooch news is huge because that should open up a starting spot. I don't think that they should or would go back to Patrick Williams at the 5, just with how bad that went for them. They need a lot more rim protection, and I think that the Hornets could definitely get to the basket if it is going to be Patrick Williams down low. But yeah, this is one that could shake up the slate because you're going to get a ton of value, and just a lot of these guys are going to look a lot better. I think as it stands right now, Giddey is the guy that I'm prioritizing on Chicago because he's another spend-up point guard with slate-breaking upside. I don't really think that anything about the matchup stands out in a huge way. The Hornets are pretty much like below average in essentially every category, but they are one of the worst half-court defenses in the league, so that's kind of better for a guy like Giddey. So I like him the most. And then the Bulls are just like a train wreck on defense right now, just giving them a ton of points at the basket. So it's a pretty good spot for guys that are scoring around the rim. I would say Brandon Miller and Cockburn are the two guys that stand out in the biggest way for me, but Bridges too, I think, is a pretty solid option. I think Brandon Miller might be my favorite option on the Hornets side. Him and Cockburn are surprisingly negatively correlated, so I don't think I'm going to be playing more than one of those guys, and for sure not more than one of Cockburn or Diabate. But I do think Brandon Miller getting healthier, good price tag, good matchup is my favorite option on the Hornet side. And then we just have to see what the starting lineup and who's going to benefit the most from these questionable tags being out. Because if Vooch is out and if Patrick Williams is out, I mean, they're pretty much left with just Jalen Smith, and that's it at the front court, really, because Noah Sengwe is in the G League right now, so they'd be extremely thin. Like, they might have to play Jalen Smith 34 minutes. Like, he'd be a lock at his price tag. I don't even know what it is, but I'd probably play him at like 5.5K 100% if I knew that he was starting.
Yeah, he's 4,900, but still.
Yeah, so that's a good price tag.
Definitely. Still a real good tag here. I'm with you all over. From the Bulls side, the one guy you didn't mention that I like, which just seems like the big game is coming, is Kobe White, another one of your Carolina guys. I just think this is a good spot for him just from a standpoint of high total, potentially lack of defense in this game. He thrives in those spots. So I like Giddey more, but he's 2K more. So I like both those guys, especially if Vooch is out. I think you can play both of them together. And then if Vooch is out, Jalen Smith lock at 4,900 for me, presuming he's starting, which I think he will be. And then I think you can look at like Dosunmu. I don't know how much, we'll see who else is out for the Bulls on how like deep we want to get there. But as of now, Kobe White, Giddey, Jalen Smith, three guys I'm looking at hard. And then I'm also with you on Charlotte. Brandon Miller, by far my favorite guy. And it's hard for me to get to anyone else here because of Brandon Miller being back.
Yep, I agree with you there. Yeah, the Bulls stuff is going to look really good if we get any of these Q tags being listed out. I think that Io would be a really strong value play, but I would be just kind of thoughtful about how I'm playing them. I think that the guys like Giddey, Kobe, and Io probably negatively correlates. And you're also taking up a ton of salary and a ton of guard positionality, so I would probably be a max 2 of those 3 guys. And then I think Jalen Smith would be like nearly a lock if Vooch does get ruled out.
Yeah, same.
And then you could consider guys like Javon Carter. Like he played pretty well the last time they had an injury situation. He's going to have to play a good bit if Herter misses. So I think that he'd be in play too at 3.2K if we needed that salary. I don't really think that you would need to go that low there, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's had big games in the past for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if this is who he's talking about. It might be me, but let me know if that's me or if that's something else. I think that might be your mic. I'm hearing a little feedback on your end.
That might be better because I had the fan on in the background.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot better. There we go. Thoughts on Diabate if no Vooch? Those guys are on different teams. So I don't know if you just mean like in terms of the matchup getting better. I think if no Vooch, you're going to Jalen Smith, and that's probably it for the center stuff. I prefer Cockburn over Diabate just because I think the minutes are better there. See if there's any other questions I missed. I think that's it. All right, last game on the slate. This one's getting a ton of ownership, and for good reason. 2 really bad defenses, Washington and Indiana facing off. No NBA Cup importance in this one. Just they're out of it. 2 bad teams facing off, and really good matchups all over the place. So huge outings from a lot of these Washington guys last time out, as Keyshawn George missed, but he is questionable again. I feel like he's probably returning. He's been out for like 4 or 5 days, so he should be healthy from the illness that kept him out. Then Corey Kispert is going to miss some time with the thumb injury, so that should open up some minutes in the wing and guard position for probably Bub Carrington and Justin Champagnie, I would imagine. Cam Whitmore is down so bad right now to just like a team that was really thin last time, winning by 40. He couldn't even get on the court. So teams just don't like him, I guess. I don't really know why, but I think the guys that you're really focusing on for Washington, I think it's really just Sarr. Somebody mentioned that Chad, he played 37 minutes last game, which was great to see. I think if we're starting to get him to play like 33, 34 on a consistent basis, he's pretty underpriced for a guy that's really improved in a lot of areas. And it's just a great matchup. But the Pacers are bottom 2 in rim defense. He's been scoring really well around the basket, rebounding the ball well, has really good chemistry with CJ and Middleton. So I think that there's a lot to like about Alex Sarr in this matchup. If Keyshawn George is in, he's going to be the only guy I look to, Alex Sarr. But if he's out, I'm totally fine going back to CJ and Middleton and Koulibaly. I think they all are pretty good, have good amount of upside at their respective price tags. I would probably say that CJ is my favorite because we saw a really big role from him. Kind of all he did was shoot that last time out. Didn't really add a ton of the peripheral stuff, but I think he'll be tasked to do a little bit more of the handling and playmaking. So I would like him the most, but then I'm totally fine with Middleton, Koulibaly again at 4.6 and 5.1K. I think that the minutes are much safer for Koulibaly. Like he's got the chance to play 34, whereas Middleton, I doubt, is topping 30. So I would lean Koulibaly, but I think all those guys are pretty good. And then the Pacers stuff. I'll let you break down the Pacers. I think that this is a really good spot for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I like the Indiana side more than the Washington side, presuming George is in. If George is in from Washington, I like Sarr the most, and then George, and then not a ton else. If George is out, I think you can look at all the other guys you mentioned. From the Indiana side, I mean, some of the best plays on the slate, I think you could load up on Indiana here. TJ McConnell and Jay Huff, getting a lot of ownership. I much prefer them over the Brooklyn guys, like much cheaper. I trust them more. I think they could outscore the Brooklyn guys at cheaper tags combined. So give me McConnell easily over Tyrese Martin at the same ownership. Jay Huff over Clowney at the same ownership. I like Indiana a lot here. Benedict Mathurin at 6,800. This seems like a good spot for him to go off. Nice slate for like the kind of mid-tier, expensive-ish build with like Mathurin, Kobe White, guys like between 65 and 8K. Pascal under 9K now. Like, I don't love it, but good spot for all of Indiana. Nembhard, I think, is a good play, especially as like, completely different price point than McConnell. But, McConnell's going to get so much ownership. Nembhard won't. Jarris Walker starting recently, 4,300, nice positional eligibility. I think he's the logical small forward for me right now. I like Indiana a ton here. I mean, there isn't much not to like. And they're bad enough where Washington is likely, especially at home, to keep this game competitive. So give me all the Indiana in this spot.
Yeah, agree with you there. I think Siakam is my least favorite, and it's not really just the pricing thing.
Same.
I think that he's going to be guarded by Bilal Coulibaly, who's a really good defender. Just locked down Jalen Johnson as well. So I think that he's got the most working against him, but I think that Benedict Mathurin is great at 6.8K. I think that a lot of things that he does well could really shine in this matchup. Really good at scoring around the basket, really good transition scores. I love Mathurin. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with Nembhard because he looks like a pretty solid option, but normally I don't really want to pair him with TJ. But if I set a max one rule, it's going to be all TJ because he just projects like such a better value play. But I do want some Nembhard, so I don't really know if I want to set that rule tonight. Maybe just be like a max 2 of Mathurin, Nembhard, and TJ makes more sense. And then I would be max 1 of Jarris and Ben Shepherd. But if you are in our Discord, you know that we're not playing Ben Shepherd, so you just X him out. And then I would be max 1 of Isaiah Jackson and Jay Huff. Jay Huff is more appealing because he does have the power forward eligibility, but I think that the matchup could lean more Isaiah Jackson. I feel like he just matches up a little bit better with Alex Sarr, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see the minutes kind of creep a little bit more in his direction, and you're getting him at a fraction of the ownership. The only issue is that he's just center eligible, but that's kind of a decently big leverage spot to get away from the Jay Huff chalk in favor of Isaiah Jackson.
Real good leverage. Like, there's a lot of reasons why to like Huff more. Production, his recent production, the price tag, the power forward eligibility most of all. But man, there is real leverage there for sure.
Yeah. Max 2 of those Washington 4 guys. I think you could probably be a max 2 of Washington, and that should cover everything for you. I don't think that there would be scenarios where I want 3 of these guys. Actually, no. I would be okay with 3 because this could be a game that just is the one that you have to have if the other ones kind of disappoint. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, especially if Keyshawn George gets ruled out, I would not be a max 2 of those of the Washington stuff because these guys are going to project really well. Like you could get 3 of CJ, Middleton, Koulibaly, and then Sarr, and then you could even start considering like Bub Carrington and Justin Champagnie. Champagnie would probably be the guy that's starting. So yeah, definitely. I don't think that would be a max 2 of those guys, but just be kind of mindful of how those teams look. Like if you're playing 3 Washington guys, you should probably have 1 to 2 Indiana guys and just kind of play into this game being really high scoring and close is how I would view that. Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that makes logical sense. The flip side of it would be like oftentimes winning tournaments aren't logical. So like, there's certainly paths where like Indiana or Washington here scores like 140 and the other team, doesn't do that well. And even though you might lose a little bit of run, like multiple guys get there. But to your point, like if I'm making a lineup, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Probably, I would say yes. Walker does need to be starting to be playable, but he should be starting now. I think he's kind of proven it. Pretty solid coach speak. So,
yeah, I agree, and I agree that yes and yes.
We don't have news on Nemhard yet, but all these games lock at the same time, so we'll have plenty of time to adjust. I didn't really even touch on this because like if Nemhard is out, you should play TJ McConnell in 100% of your lineups. Like just don't overthink it. I would be setting the lock button in my 150 max with TJ because the very low end, you're probably getting like 28 from him, and you're probably getting closer to 40, I would imagine, if he's starting.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be like close to 100% owned, and should be 100% owned. So I'm totally with you there.
I feel like five is probably good in this game. I think 6 might be getting a little too much, but it also depends. Like if we get a lot of value from these guys, the Q tags, if they're out, then 5 to 6 honestly feels like where I'd want to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then I will just say, like from a tournament perspective, I want all the Indiana. Like there are also paths where this game just duds because these teams stink. So you see it. Like sometimes these games are high scoring, not a lot of defense, turnovers, and then other times just no team can hit a shot because these teams aren't good. So like I really do see it both ways, especially on a slate like this where even though there are some other games where the spots might not be as good and the defense might be better, there's just better players and they're playing for more, as you've talked about with the NBA Cup. So I think there's like a lot of game theory in play on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely. That does it for the main slate for DraftKings. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the West Coast games. I doubt you'll be playing that one, but I'm strongly considering it because it's a really, really solid slate. Like if this was our main slate, it'd be pretty good tonight. We have 5 games, a couple of games that have a lot of importance as well for the NBA Cup, mainly in the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs and the Denver game. But then you also get some value, like the Utah-Sacramento game looks really good. OKC is going to be without Isaiah Hartenstein tonight, so we'll get somebody in the starting lineup, and they should project pretty well. Do you have any thoughts on the late night slate if you've looked at it at all?
Yeah, I have a little bit. Like good contest too, man. This slate almost looks better.
Yeah.
You've got Luka and Jokic obviously on it. Just good games all over. I don't have like as much thoughts on it as I do the main slate because I didn't look at it as much, but I think there's, some, for me, like I'll go right back to Malik Monk at 4,400. Other than that, I think there's like the Hartenstein news is probably the biggest of the day, and kind of like Porzingis with the midday downgrade, I would expect him to be out. So makes me like Chet more, makes me like Jalen with a Y more, and then you have the other Jalen Williams coming back. So
yeah.
That like muddies up everything there. Fun slate though for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to play it. We got the 50K up top in the main tournament, so I'll probably max that one. I think that this slate looks really good. I definitely want to play it. I got a friend and family dinner tonight, so it'll be good to get those lineups in, and then maybe go to a bar and watch the Lakers game. Since for whatever reason I'm not allowed to watch Laker games out here, they're still living in the Stone Age. You have to have cable to watch a Laker game.
That's freaking pathetic and insane. You're not even a Lakers fan though. You're a Jazz fan.
Yeah, I'm a Jazz fan, but I still like I'm I live in LA and like all my buddies are Lakers fans. It's nice to be able to watch a game at night, but it's just crazy that you can't.
Are you a LeBron fan?
I like LeBron. Yeah, I mean, we don't get into the whole debate, but I mean, he's gotta be the GOAT in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not the right person to debate on that, just because like he's my year in high school and like went to a high school like a half hour away from me. So
Yeah.
I've seen him since high school, played for the Cavs. I definitely think he's the GOAT, but that's just me.
Hey, you guys are sciatica brothers too.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, too soon. Too soon.
Sorry about that. All right, yeah, that's gonna do it. Yeah, we'll definitely won't have any content up for it. I'm sure people will be dropping cores and thoughts, and I'll definitely be in the Discord leading up to that slate locking and have some thoughts on it for sure. But yeah, that'll do it. I hope everybody has a safe weekend and get some good Black Friday deal shopping going, and we'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll also have all of the NFL content up for the main slate this weekend, and got to go toss on that Eagles game right now, see if I got any sweats going on there. But yeah, good luck tonight, everyone. Have a good weekend.